This is Cheston Newhall from Life in Stride. For those who don't know me, I'm a amateur runner in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm the co-host of a podcast, Life in Stride. And I'm excited to bring the launch of a new series to you, the Last Chance 239 series. And the goal of this series is to highlight my thoughts, feelings, and process as I seek to drop my marathon time from 2 hours and 47 minutes last April at the Carmel Marathon to 2 hours and 39 minutes or faster at the upcoming Last Chance Boston Qualifier Grand Rapids Marathon on September 8th. And I'm doing this for a couple reasons. I was inspired by one of our friends. We actually interviewed Eric Floberg on the podcast a couple months ago now at this point. And I remember watching his YouTube videos after ran Carmel. He actually ran that race, not with us, but found out later he was right behind us during that race. I watched his YouTube videos. I remember kind of furrowing my brow just like I just did and saying, this is kind of weird. This is awkward. I even told him such on the podcast. But I realized as I watched a couple more and as we launched our podcast, Life in Stride, that it's really rare to be willing to document your journey and put out goals and be willing to, kind of unveil the thoughts, feelings, highs, lows of training, especially when you consider many people who do it are full-time influencers, or in Floberg's case, full-time videographer, cinematographer. And but for there's a rare group, and the small group of people who are very happy with their 9 to 5, yet pursue running as a passion and are passionate about that as well and willing to document it. So that's me. I'm a working athlete. I work roughly 50-ish hours a week in technology at a director level. I have 4 kids, ages from, at the time of this recording, 8 weeks to nearly 6 years old. And I've been married to my wife, Krista, for coming up on 9 years. And so there's few of us that are doing all those things and willing to document themselves. And I know that as I watched Eric's videos and other videos, that I viewed it as a gift to just kind of commiserate with parts of Eric's story or other stories, and also viewed it really helpful as I navigate my own journey. And that's really the goal of this series for the working athlete, for you watching it or listening to this, is that as I go through this journey of going from 247 to 239, that's a gift to you, that you can resonate with parts of the story, whether it's, again, having 4 kids and working full time, or now, resonate with parts of a workout where I'm sure there'll be workouts where I'm extremely disappointed and I'm also extremely elated. And so my goal is just take you through the journey, and whether you're going 240 or for some other goal, and that it can be helpful and a gift to you. Yeah, another reason I decided to do this is we had a recent interview with a friend of ours, Joe McMahon, on the Life in Stride podcast, and he said something that really resonated with me as we've gotten to know more people in the running community through interviews and just being engaged more in it since the beginning of the year. And he said, oftentimes the rookie or the amateur can be more inspiring and instructive than the professional or the elites. And we've had the benefit of interviewing both elites and amateurs, and there is a unique relatability with the amateurs, whether they're an influencer or not, that you can look at them and say, oh, they did this, I could do that, or they have 4 kids and I have 4 kids, and this is how they navigated the complexities, or they're married, or they're single living in a big city, or just moved to a new city. And so my goal with this series really is to tease out, again, the thoughts, emotions, process, where appropriate, the things going on in our life personally, and how it's impacting training, how we're navigating through that. Because while there's an ambitious goal to go 239 at Last Chance, life continues. There will be shifts at work. There'll be shifts within the family. There'll be shifts to rhythms that all add stress and complicate the training process. And so my goal, again, is for this to be a gift to the listener. All right, so a little bit about me for those who haven't heard. The Life in Stride co-hosts, we did an interview of one another in our running journey. So if you really want to deep dive beyond following me on Strava and looking at history there, we did about a 90-minute podcast episode. I'll put it in the description so you can listen to that. and start outlining how I went from 4:47 in the marathon in my debut to 2:47 last April. Like I said, I have 4 kids. Been married to my wife Krista for 9 years. The ages of the kids range from 9-ish weeks old, 8 weeks, I guess, at the time of recording, to up to 6 years. And yeah, we live a full life, really involved at our local church. I work in technology as a director of product, and so very busy job. Travel roughly 10 to 20% depending on the season, and so there's no shortage of things to do in our household. So also locally with running and really involved with our running club. You hear me talk about Corfedge Running Club. Been with that group for 3 years, founded by Tracy Edgerton and Mike Corfedge, and absolutely would not be the runner I am without them. I think another thing that makes me unique is I came to running late, and in fact, running I really viewed it as a punishment. Growing up, I was an offensive lineman in middle school and high school when I was about, I think at this point, 60, nearly 70 pounds heavier. And so when I got to college, I wasn't doing anything for fitness, and eventually stumbled upon running. Happened to be living with a number of Ironman athletes, and so as I realized, oh gosh, I need to start getting in shape, or I won't like the consequences. Then I started getting into running, and when my roommate at the time, James Boyer, ended up coaching me through my first half marathon, which is a funny story in and of itself that you can hear on the interview. And yeah, I in that first half marathon build, I started falling in love with the process as I built my weekly mileage and my long run mileage up higher and higher. I just fell in love with it. And my first marathon was brutal. Like I said, 4:47 walking. I did a Hal Higdon plan, self coached, and actually set running down for a few years, but realized I ended up missing it. And so I went back to it and really threw myself into it since 2019. Why 2:39? Why Last Chance Grand Rapids? Well, early this year I went for another PR attempt in the Houston Marathon and did not do too hot, right? Right before this little one was born. And was hoping to go for low 240s, ended up running a 253 and change. And midway through the race, I thought to myself, nothing else. I want to make sure I can run Boston 25. And unfortunately, with that time, I don't even think 253 and 42, whatever the final time is going to be enough to run Boston 25, at least feel good. And so I said, a couple weeks after that race, I need to make sure that I have a Boston qualifying time where I feel good about the cutoff that I can get in. And so that's why Last Chance Grand Rapids 2:39, because for me, I've always operated that I need a big goal that commands my attention in order to really get myself psyched up for it. And leaving Houston, having failed my goal, left me really hungry for a race. And then setting 2:39, it has me feeling really focused to get after it the next 16 weeks.
I think along the way, it would be cool if we could find like another half marathon
Yeah.
to do. And if you could go like, I don't know, I think if you went like 1:15, 1:16, that would indicate that you're ready to go 2:39. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm confident in it. I like
Yeah.
to look at kind of like equivalent distances, and like I would say 2:39 flat would be like a 1:16 half or a 16:35 5K. Which I mean,
Yeah.
didn't you run like 17 low at the Anthem 5K?
Yeah. I ran 17:03 at the Anthem 5K. So
Yeah, so that would
when
like
you
that would
start that
translate over
5K,
to like 2:43. You know?
I love that. And I've lost 4 pounds since then, at least. So
Yeah, 17:03
yeah.
would indicate 1:18 for the half, 2:43.25 for the marathon.
Yes, I mean, I think the big thing is getting till September is kind of like you said, you were just talking about like skydiving, like not doing anything crazy like the first like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Uh, I see that a lot, especially with the adult racers who only really have like two big goal key races that they're doing a year. Is like they kind of start off guns blazing, and then somewhere in the middle of that block, it either like fades a little bit, or maybe they went too hard and like they kind of run themselves into the ground a little bit, or little injuries start piling up. So I think just like doing it really smart and like following the plan, like that's the I tell people all the time, like that's the only reason that I've been good, is that I can follow a plan for like a long period of time and stay healthy, and keep a level of, I don't know, like even headedness, and not get, nothing really goes too high or too low, and then just bottle it up and be ready for it, come September. Because like ideally you want your best like month of training to be about kind of like 7 weeks to 3 or 4 weeks out, like that month right there. So
Yeah. Cool. And then lifting. So my wife's a trainer, so I'm having her write my lifting plan. Like, what's in a perfect world? What should I be doing for 239? You think?
yeah, I think I'm pretty big on the lifting. I think the first key of lifting is like you want it to be like the first thing that should cover is kind of like injury prevention. So stuff that's going to keep you healthy, uh, enable you to do more running and more training, like healthily. So that's like it's number one priority for me. And then the second priority is like to work on things that uh, we aren't getting in running. So like you're getting a lot of endurance in, you're getting a lot of uh, you know high reps, low weight type stuff from running. So I like to see like a little bit more like power explosive type stuff in weight training. So for me, usually it's one or two of those bigger movements like that, and then everything else is kind of built around ancillary work that's going to, you know, hip strengthening, low abs, glutes, hamstrings, stuff like that. That's going to, enable me to get healthy, especially in marathon training. Like for me, it's like low back, hips, glutes. So like
Yeah.
the problem areas, like I'm working on a lot of like quad, hip flexor, low ab stuff to kind of balance all that out.
We got one 1600, two 800s, followed by another 1600, two 800s. Last mile, last rep at 1600. It's going from 6:05 pace down to 5:50. Right now the mile's at 5:55. We're feeling great. Good day one. The end of my workout, last mile here. Supposed to be 5:50 pace. Going 5:47 with 3/10 to go. Feeling really good. It's a good first day. Get after it, y'all.
All right. Well, I just wrapped up day one in the end of this episode, and as we wrap up here, episode one, the high vibes continue from my first workout. It was a great start to the block so far in week one, and even week two as I record this, and here's, I want to walk through the end here, what to expect the next 16 weeks from a training perspective, but also the video series, and then a thought and reflection for the end. So next 16 weeks, Coach Cave and Coach Thompson outline it in our coaching call, which you can listen to on Spotify. We'll include it in the show notes as well. But there's going to be about 4 phases of my training these next 16 weeks. And really, they'll include 3 up weeks and a down week in there. And as each phase continues, and as I build on the weeks within a phase, the intensity increases and the paces will increase as well, easing me from, roughly 247 marathon pace to hopefully 238 high, 239 low marathon pace by the end of the block. And that'll have my volume getting up in the 80s in July. There's the marathon is mapped out. The plan's mapped out right now by Coach Thompson, and it's intense in July and August. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll also be supplementing through lifting 3 times a week, and I've mentioned on the podcast that I'm looking to cut weight. So sitting around 177, 176. On a light day today, would want to cut down to 170. That's a little higher than my initial goal of 165, but knowing how intense training is going to be, I think getting to 170 will still be good enough to help me hit my goal. And as far as the video series itself, you can expect a little less talking than there was in this one. Just want to lay the foundation for the series, so a little more action. shots going on. And I'll recap a lesson within each episode. So, for example, I'm sure there'll be a couple of episodes where I talk about time management or managing traveling and training at the same time. I'll recap about 2-ish weeks at a time, depending on bandwidth, candidly, and what's going on within my training to ensure that there's compelling content. And you'll also see, as we just had a section before this, a coaching call or a friend call in each of the episodes where I walk through some key questions about my training or debrief with a friend in a way that isn't just me talking at the camera like this or on a run where I'm huffing and puffing on some of the workouts. Before I leave with a call to action and a thought, I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out a couple people. Jamie Albritton, one of my good friends, is editing this. He's doing this, the kindness of his own heart. So really thankful for you, man, for doing that. And send Jamie some love on Strava or Instagram, whatever you prefer. And obviously my wife, Krista, for letting me do this. This does take away some time from life to curate the videos and even send them to Jamie, although he's doing a bulk of the editing work. And then obviously the OTQ boys. Got to shout out Chris Striegel, Danny Perkins, Scotty Scarce from the pod, but also the other guys that aren't on the podcast but keep me going. Sam Bland, Sam Meredith, and Chris Sadler. Love you, boys. And then last couple of shout outs. Corf Edge Running Club in Louisville, Kentucky is awesome. I wouldn't be the runner I am without them. And that's really co-led by Mike Corfage and Tracy Edgerton. So really thankful for that group making it possible to go hard and enjoy the beautiful city of Louisville. And finally, my coaches, Jacob Thompson, Thomas Cave, that we just heard from. I switched to them in preparation for this block, so I'm really excited to see what results come of it. If you want to keep following the journey, obviously hit the like and subscribe button on this channel. There'll also be some podcast episodes dedicated to this series. So search Life in Stride Podcast if you're not already familiar with us on either Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We launch a couple episodes a week, but I'll also be launching those coaching calls, just the whole raw coaching call every other week when we record them. And yeah, there's about 15-ish weeks and a couple of days from when I'm recording this particular segment within this episode. And it's going to be eventful. Over the next 100+ days, there's going to be a lot of life lived, a lot of training going on. And, it's easy in like a big long run or a big mile repeat workout to get scared of the whole workout. The same is true with training. And really, it's one day at a time. And that mindset of one day at a time, one rep at a time makes me think of one of my favorite authors, James Clear, his mindset about respecting the process, enjoying the journey. And his quote that I'm embracing this block as I go into the unknown here, chasing 239, is every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. No single instance will transform your beliefs, but as the votes build up, so does the evidence of your new identity. And really, it's my hope these next 100 days that I'm going to be casting my ballot for 239 Cheston, for 239 at Last Chance. And excited to have you with me on the journey. So till next time, episode 2 will be dropping soon. Take care. Good luck.